Hi, everybody. I'm Paula Rojas, Managing Director of Synergy Resource Capital. Welcome to another webinar of our series where we bring you promising startups and small caps in natural resources and technology. These companies are seeking to raise awareness, reach global markets, and ultimately grow their footprints and networks. The format includes a short presentation with additional questions at the end. Let's get started. Our client, American Mineral Research, is an American private company focused in gold in Southwest Oregon. The company owns interest in several historical mines not operated commercially since World War II, and it also made a new surface discovery. The company was formed in 2016, and after several years of developing a mineral portfolio, it is seeking to start production within 18 months. To tell us all about AMR and where they intend to go, we have Michael Cope, CEO, and Jay Meredith, CFO. Michael Cope, CEO and founder. He has 30 years of field exploration and research and pilot production testing. He attained his first gold property in the Grouse Medford region in 1990. Since then, he has acquired extensive experience researching prospective gold occurrences and is connected to local property owners with mining interests throughout the region. Over the years, he has hosted premier investigators, including Stanley Keith from Magma Chem Exploration, Dr. John Dials of Oregon State University, and geologists of the Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries. In recent years, his interest has expanded to include other precious metals, green energy materials such as tellurium, heavy rare earth metals, industrial minerals, and other strategic mineral resources. Jay Meredith is the CFO and chairman. He earned his BS in accounting from the University of Kentucky in 1999 and became a CPA in 2001. He spent 2 years in a large public accounting firm, after which he worked for 5 years in corporate finance with a large company with over $500 million in annual revenue. Jay also spent 5 years owning and operating his own financial advisory company, which involved the management of 2 hedge funds and various private investment accounts. The investment advisory firm specialized in natural resources investments, micro-cap growth, investing, and following a top-down macro outlook to the investment arena. Jay most recently worked for the city of Grants Pass for 12 years as a finance director, and last year stepped down in order to work for AMR full-time. Outside of work, Jay volunteers to serve the local community in many other ways. Without further ado, let's get started with the presentation. Jay?
Thank you, Paola, and hi, I'm Jay Meredith, CFO of American Mineral Research, and we very much appreciate this opportunity. So thanks to Synergy for this. We've done a fair amount of networking here in our area, but we are just beginning the process of reaching out to a larger audience, so thanks for this opportunity. So we are developing gold tellurium deposits in Southwest Oregon, and while we were technically incorporated in 2016, we are backed by 30 years of our founders' research, of hands-on research looking at properties in our region. We have used that research, which is one of the most significant assets in our portfolio, is that library of research. We've used that to collect a portfolio of projects that is going to serve our exploration and research needs for many, many years to come. What we've done is developed a proprietary hard rock narrow vein mining program specific to the geology of this area. It's a small footprint operation for each one of our exploration projects and production projects. And so instead of doing just 1 or 2 large projects, we're going to be doing a series of projects, one of which is nearly ready for production as we sit today. As far as where we're located, we are in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and zooming in at the state level, we are in Southwest Oregon. And zooming in further on the county level, Josephine County is where we operate. And we have a series of property interests and mineral properties in the historic Greenback mining district, which is northeast Josephine County. And we also have a series of property interests right outside the city of Grants Pass, which is the only major city of any population here in this county. It's a fairly rural county. And one of the reasons that Michael and I both moved here, different timeframes, but one of the reasons that we quickly realized the mineral opportunities and the mineral wealth we have here is this area was actually settled and built back in the 1800s and early 1900s, was settled and built by mining efforts for the most part. Now it's not widely known today, but prior to World War II, there was literally hundreds of mines in this area, and most of them were gold mines. But what we've done is over the years, we have expanded our research to go well beyond precious metals. There are other mineral opportunities here that go with the high grade gold opportunities that we have. So we spent the last several years building up a portfolio of the best projects based on our research. And we already have our foot in the door on all the properties that we'll need for at least the next 5 to 6 years. And so but we have our research library actually goes well beyond what's in our portfolio today. We are well positioned for growth even after the next 5, 6 years.
Hi, my name is Michael Cope. I'm the founder and CEO of American Mineral Research. I started my research in 1990 here in Josephine County, which is basically the center of 4 counties, which is called the northern half of the ancient Klamath Mountain Range, which was an island that was out in the Pacific Ocean that thrusted here to where we're at. And in that was a complex geology and complex mineralogy of this island, which led me to the company that I'm referring to here now called MagnaChem. They were brought here in 1999 to further my education and to teach me about what is called a 6J model under their approach for these giant gold porphyry type systems on the planet. They're very complex geology and mineralogy, but MagnaChem created a database for these particular models that could actually tell you pretty close to how many ounces you might find in these kind of complex geology and mineralogy deposits, which led me to the discovery of native tellurium prior to bringing MagnaChem here. And MagnaChem is the one that actually brought about what tellurium is related to how the gold came in our area. No one had ever wrote about this yet. It's still unpublished, but we have further investigations of other complex minerals, which I refer to as green energy minerals. But the primary one is tellurium. And native tellurium in the relationship to our gold veins here, very narrow vein, but very rich gold and tellurium, is very high levels of native tellurium, which could actually be used without having to refine it like you do tellurium from copper refining for solar panels. And that's part of what we're looking to do is the relationship to the gold and the tellurium opportunities here in our area. As you can see, MagnaChem has a very good success rate on core drilling and the clients. And I am proud to have brought them here in '99. And now we're on their page of current success stories.
So based on our research, we have acquired a number of the best properties that meet the characteristics of an ideal development property for gold and tellurium here in this area. And we believe we are now the largest locally owned stakeholder for lode properties here in Josephine County. And that culminated actually in May of last year, May of 2020, when we made history by becoming the first company ever here in Josephine County to obtain a mineral exploration permit on a county-owned property. So the county has a series of what they call timber properties, and they do a lot of timber harvesting. They have close to 30,000 acres of county-owned timber properties. But what we know is many of these properties also have mineral opportunities on them as well. So we made history just about 8 months ago by by partnering with our local government, our local county in the development, in the mineral development on a property. And I'll talk about that property here in just a moment. We have a property package, as I mentioned, in 2 separate mining districts in Josephine County. In northeast Josephine County is the Greenback district. We have 3 properties up there. And in the Grants Pass district, which is right outside the city of Grants Pass, we basically control the upper elevations of an entire mountain that overlooks the city of Grants Pass. And there's many historic mines and a new discovery that we've made there. Now, at this point, I'd like to say that we also have a really great relationship with the community, with the local government, with local community leaders, and all of our properties, for a couple of reasons, we have a fair amount of community support for what we're trying to do. One of those reasons is the properties up in northeast Josephine County in the Greenback district. They're surrounded by timber properties, and so there really aren't any residential neighbors. We're just doing what is the type of activity that is typically done in those areas, in those timber areas. And then when it comes to our Grants Pass area properties, when we go to the edge of our properties, you can see the city of Grants Pass, but nobody from the city can see our operations. And so our projects are very, very small in terms of their footprint. And also we are not disturbing any of the very beautiful natural views that you can see from the city of Grants Pass and other areas. So we have been developing and researching these properties for many, many years, and we've got good relationships with all of our neighbors for those properties where we do actually have neighbors, like the Grants Pass properties. So I want to talk just a little bit about our properties in each one of these districts. This is just a zoomed in view of our Grants Pass district properties. But our first property that will be our first production property as well, is in the Grants Pass district. And this is where we've made a new surface discovery. And that surface discovery is where our production will come from in the early years. And in those early years, by focusing on the high grade areas, our production in the early years will actually average well in excess of 1 ounce of gold per ton. And we have a pilot mill where we'll be operating for the first 18 months or so at a very small scale. But then our first larger production mill is expected to be completed in about 18 months and ready for a slightly higher level of production from this surface area. In addition to some very high grades in gold, we also, in this surface pit area, the average of tellurium in this area is almost 400 grams per ton. So that's enough where we may be able to produce tellurium as a byproduct. And that's very, very important to us for a number of strategic reasons. And believe it or not, this surface area that you see a picture of right here, the highest single surface sample in this area was 1,300 grams per ton in gold and 4,400 grams per ton of tellurium, which was pretty amazing. Obviously, that's an anomaly, but we will be running into high grades like that, high grade pockets from time to time. So that's very exciting. The lab actually had to process that particular sample twice just to make sure there wasn't an error in that one, but there wasn't. And so we have some very, very high grade pockets that will really help our production from time to time. So we believe we have at least 3 to 4 years of production from this surface area, but we also believe that surface will be increased over time as we continue to develop that surface area. But most of the reserves on this particular property are actually going to come from the underground. There's very high grade in the underground as well, based on our preliminary research of the underground areas. And our exploration geologist does classify this as a 6J model property. He feels like there's a potential for several 100,000 ounces of gold, but this is classified as a 6J model property, which means the upside could be as much as 1 million ounces just on this property alone. And we also have over 600 acres of other properties, including our BLM claims in the Grants Pass district, to serve our long-term exploration portfolio. Just on the BLM claims alone, there are 2 larger historic gold mines and 3 small gold mines. the Grouse Mountain Mine and the Golden Mary Mine, both which historically ran production between 0.4 ounces of gold and 1 ounce per ton of gold. Those are the two larger mines that will be very exciting in the long term when we start to explore those areas. Our entire portfolio, including these properties, every single one of them has a historic gold mine on it that hasn't been worked commercially since before World War II. So we already know there are gold in these areas, and since they haven't been worked commercially for a very long time, they haven't been drilled, and we'll find a significant amount of resources on each one of these. As far as our exploration geologist, just to read from a section of the report when he talked about the larger area here that we have in the Grants Pass area, in the Grants Pass district, he says, work in other structurally favorable areas might add significant additional ounces. Regionally, the geologic potential is considered excellent to find ounces exceeding the current 1 million produced ounces by a factor of at least 10. So to summarize that, we have a potential regional resource of potentially as much as 10 million ounces. Moving on to the Greenback District properties. We have 3 properties in this area. We have some BLM claims as well, but all of our all the historic mines and the primary areas we are working are private patented properties. And starting with the St. Peter Mine property, this is the county property that we recently obtained an exclusive mineral exploration permit on. And the nice thing about this is under county code, a holder of a valid exploration permit is pretty much guaranteed. Once you file a valid mineral discovery, it's pretty much guaranteed that we can move from the permit phase into the long-term lease phase. And we already, the odds of us finding significant resource here is very good, because back in the 1980s and 1990s, a company spent over $3 million core drilling this property. So there's already a proven reserve and an inferred resource of fairly significant amount just from the drilling that they did on the western side of the property. The average grade from that drilling was about 0.46 ounces a ton in gold. And the majority of the resources that came from that work are on this county property. So that's very exciting that we already know we have a resource base there as we begin our exploration efforts. We do expect this particular property to also be our second production property. We also have and own the Marshall Mine and the Daisy Mine, or sometimes referred to as the Hammersley Mine in historic reports. These are the Hammersley Daisy Mine was one of the top 3 producers in the historic Greenback District back in the day. And the Marshall Mine property we have is a 20-acre private patented property with, we also have the 84 acres of BLM load claims that we own directly around that site. This is another example where there is both a surface resource and an underground resource. The Marshall Mine was primarily an underground lode operation historically, but a lot of work has been done, had been done since the underground workings, and there's also a surface resource that we've begun developing. So in addition to Michael and I, we also have Karen Henningsen on our board, Don Belleville on our board. Karen has a wealth of financial and management experience, and Don has a wealth of natural resource related experience after a long career with the U.S. Forest Service and doing lots of mineral exploration and prospecting efforts during that time as well. And our two geology consultants are Stanley Keith of MagnaChem, and Frank Ladke is our state registered geologist. And so moving on to kind of talk a little bit about our investment and growth plans. We currently only have one class of shares outstanding, which is right now, before we seek additional partnerships, 73% owned by management and the board. And looking out into the next 2 to 3 years, we will almost immediately start production on our first property on a really small scale, and then in 18 months ramp that up once we have a mill ready for a higher level of production. And then of course all the resource drilling that we'll be doing will be under 43-101 standards, and we will have 2 mines in operation by year 3. And then at that point, we'll do another valuation round just to accelerate our growth, and also to prepare us for what is our ultimate goal, which is a listing in a public listing in the U.S. in approximately 4 to 5 years. We will be spending in the first 1 to 2 years, other than the drilling budget, we'll be spending a little over $2 million in capital expenditures. And the really nice thing about all the work that we've done to get to this point is our cash flow from operations will support our drilling program, not only just in the first year, but in all the years based on our projections. So our cash flow from operations is projected to be right away in the first year, about 500,000. That goes up to a little over $1 million in the second year. And then it really ramps up after those first 2 years. And so that our drilling budget is completely supported by cash flow from operations. So in year 2, we're looking at approximately a little under 900,000 of drilling in the budget. Year 3 up to 1.4 million. Year 4 1.8, and year 5 2.4. And of course, that's where the value generation comes in. That's where we prove up our reserves and really build value for all of our stakeholders. Of course, with the standard financial caveat that these are summary financial operating projections, and the actual results may differ from forecasts based on a variety of factors. We feel very confident that we'll have a portfolio with, at least by year 5, we'll have proven reserves of at least 1 million ounces of gold, and we think that we may actually exceed that number, but that's our conservative estimate. And so also, one of the unique things about us, which you don't commonly find with juniors, is right out of the gate we'll be cash flow positive and profitable because of all the work that we've done to get our first project ready for production. So what that translates into as far as ounces, we'll be ramping up to about 18,000 ounces by year 5. And because we have so many different properties that have the same kind of potential as the properties in our portfolio today, by 10 years out, we're looking at 3 times that amount, closer to 48,000 ounces produced, and by 12 different properties, and closer to a proven resource of 3 million ounces. So we're the first commercial scale mover in modern times in this area. So we're poised to capture a significant amount of the regional potential we have here. So what that translates to, particularly with the proving up of reserves while producing positive cash flow, we have a conservative valuation based on our gold reserves of 4.5 million today. That as soon as the transactions that are planned for this year happened, our reserve base will go up to 8.6 million. And by meeting all the targets that we have for the first few years, in 3 years, we believe we can support a valuation of 25 million or more. And then longer term, we keep hitting those reserve targets. We believe we can support a valuation of over 100 million. So there's also potential upside to our forecast. We feel like we've been very conservative with our forecast because our net sales price per ounce of gold is $1,150 in our conservative forecast, and of course gold has been closer to $1,800 recently. That 1,800 mark is an important mark because anything 1,800 and up, our profits and cash flow actually doubles based on our forecast. So that's an important point to keep in mind. We will be producing with an all-in cash cost of well under $750 per ounce, and we will at times have a production that averages more than 0.4 ounces, which is another part of our conservative forecast. So, and Tellurium production has not yet been factored into our forecast. The preliminary results and preliminary research points to that we can produce Tellurium, and we want to be a Tellurium supplier for our country and for the world. But we haven't factored that actually into the financial forecast at this time. So in summary, our mineral property development plan and infrastructure plan is literally shovel ready. We're excited to get going, and we are nearly ready to go as soon as soon as we complete our partnership discussions. So we'll have 4 mines in operation within the first 5 years, and with an initial target of 1 million ounce reserve by the end of that 5th year. We will be drilling on a total of 6 different properties in that first 5 years. And again, we have a regional potential, we believe, for as much as 10 million ounces in reserve. And we're the first commercial scale mover in this region in the last decade. So we're poised to capture a significant amount of the potential we have here. Our next valuation round will probably be in about 3 years, just to accelerate our growth. Not that we need it for cash flow purposes, but we certainly want to accelerate our growth and move to the public markets in the US in about 4 to 5 years. And our proprietary mineral property library really allows this approach to be duplicated time and time again. And we have a library of many other opportunities to serve us in the long term. So we also have a very streamlined permitting program and a small scale program that lets us do properties a lot quicker than your typical mining operation. And of course, we expect the gold market to remain solid, and that all translates into a significant rate of return for our partners and for us. And so with that, Paola, thank you again for the time today, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Jay. That was very interesting and helpful. Thank you for the presentation. I think it's certainly very refreshing to know that despite the US being such a mature market in terms of mining and having such large amounts of production, you can still, as a private junior company, assemble a portfolio and place yourselves in a position where you can go to production, even if it's small, but still go to production quickly and realize value for the company. So yeah, it's very interesting to see. Thank you for the story. As we said, there's a small section here where we'll talk a little bit more about the personal side of this, which is my favorite part of the conversation, to be honest. If we talk about you, Jay and Michael, what were your motivations to start this company? How did you come to decide to start this together and join forces?
I'll give my perspective, and I'll let Michael weigh in as well. But Michael and I both moved here to this area, not necessarily to do this work, but to have a really nice place to raise our young families at the time. And it was just coincidental that we both ended up working on a separate path in the natural resources area. And we both realized pretty quickly after we moved here, the wealth of opportunities that were right here in our backyard. And so I met Michael within a couple of years of moving here in 2006. And we didn't go into business together at the time, but I could tell right away that he really knew his stuff and that he'd been doing his research on mineral properties in this area. And so he helped me and my former partners actually buy one of our first mineral properties because he knows everything about all the properties in this area. So that's kind of how I got first involved in this. And then a number of years ago, when I was working with a local nonprofit organization, we were trying to help our county get back on its feet. The amount of timber harvesting that we've done here in Josephine County, that's reduced quite a bit over the years, and so it's had a local economic impact on our local government as well. And so I was working with a nonprofit organization that was working side by side with the county to try to help the county get back on its feet financially. And Michael came to me at the time. And he said, well, we should be working the mineral properties in this area because the county owns a bunch of timber property that also has incredible mineral potential as well. And so that's how Michael and I got reconnected. And I'll let Michael talk a little bit about how he came to do this work in Josephine County as well.
Well, the way I came about getting into minerals here in Josephine County was I bought my first property that had a gold mine on it, and being a kid, I was always playing in the dirt, so I was fascinated. So that's how my career started here, studying the history. And from there, it just progressed to go further into, once again, like Jay mentioned, trying to help the county and the city here, because the area that we live in is probably one of the most beautiful places in the United States of America, or the world, as far as that goes. So I was really fascinated to see this kind of mentioning of gold everywhere, but nothing was happening. So what happened? I started saying to myself, so I started to investigate. And basically, one step led to another, from using all the freebies, in other words, Oregon State University or the Department of Geology or USGS, which is our leader here in America. But it wasn't until I brought MagnaChem here and got a clear understanding of our area. And so I get fascinated when I get out in the field, and when you're able to go to a historical place of reference and find gold yourself currently hands-on that day, because you're educated and understand how to do this in our area, it's pretty exciting. And that's what keeps me going, is the venture, the treasure hunt here.
It's great to hear the passion, and that's the reason why, and this is gonna be in the webinar. I like asking these more personal questions, because that allows everybody to hear the human behind the story, which is, the one driving the company is a human. So we wanted to cover a bit about Tellurium.
Yeah, so just a quick story. We Michael and I, back in 2014, we held what we called at the time the Southern Oregon Minerals Summit. We invited some worldwide experts in metals and some other industry professionals here to do a summit to talk about the mineral opportunity we have here. And so the main keynote speaker that we brought in at the time, it was who we brought in to talk about Tellurium and to talk about the bright future that Tellurium has in the solar industry and in other industries. And this is a guy that has traveled the world and seen mineral properties all over the world, and was just amazed that there is a developed part of the modern United States that doesn't have a lot of research other than what's in our portfolio of research. And so he was pretty blown away by the opportunity we have here. But Tellurium, I actually just saw a research report pop up online a couple of days ago saying that the worldwide market for Tellurium is expected to be over $1 billion per year in about 5 years, and that's primarily due to the demand in solar growth. So we're moving forward with using electric powered vehicles and machinery a lot more than we used to, and solar energy is going to become a bigger and bigger part of our future. And so for those reasons, Tellurium has a very, very bright future as well. And they're even looking at Tellurium in labs on battery research and semiconductors, and we really believe that Tellurium has a bright future. And just with solar alone, the solar industry is going to be growing by leaps and bounds in the next 5, 10, 20 years, and Tellurium is going to grow with it. So we're excited about that opportunity that we have, in addition to the precious metals wealth that's within our portfolio.
Okay, yeah, sounds like a massive opportunity. All right, so to close and summarize in an elevator pitch format, can you tell us why potential partners should be interested in AMR?
Well, our potential partners have a very unique opportunity to capitalize on what's been a 30-year journey to get to this point. We're shovel ready. Our first production project will be in production within a few months of us doing a partnership, and we will have several projects in production in the first 5 years. And we're also unique in that we're going to be cash flow positive right out of the gate, right in the first year. So we're shovel ready to go, and we have a significant opportunity here in this region and in this county that we're the first commercial movers, and we have an amazing opportunity to build a significant company, and we're working so that it'll be a win-win for the community, for the industry, and we've got all the right pieces. We're ready to go, and looking forward to finding the right partners to help us get to the next stage. So thanks again for this opportunity, Paola.
Wonderful. Well, thanks everybody for watching. This was another webinar of our series where we bring you promising startups and small caps in natural resources and technology. Stay tuned for the next episode, and yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, just comment here, and we will promptly answer any questions.